Hi, this is Greg Lamberson, and you are listening to Without Your Head. And I have a long history of film without heads. We have no head in Slime City, we have no head in Killer Rack, and we have no head in Johnny Gruesome's. Check out all those headless films.
All right. I'm going to let you know, we have like a silicone heart that we're going to pass around as a means to say who has the right to talk.
Like all right, I like it. I have no way of knowing who has this.
In that case,
I know that's the fun part. I guess but we'll let you know. Actually, you say who you want to talk to, and we'll pass the heart to that person.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, sometimes I like to ask open questions, and everyone gets a chance to reply.
Oh yeah, everyone will get a chance. You know us pretty well that everyone's going to get a chance.
We're going to try last time, but no problem.
That's not going to happen.
All right, here we go.
I can't even promise I'll behave as well as I did first time.
All right, and we're back here once again at the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head. This is Nasty Neil, and this is, I guess, the second annual year 2, because it was just last year we did this. Makeup artist round 2. This time, last year it went so well, we decided to have like double the people. So we have Craig Lindberg.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Jeremy Selenfriend.
How you doing?
Good. Anthony Pepe.
Hello.
Hello. Keith Palmer.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Vincent, I should have asked how to say the last name.
I'll take the trouble. Schicchi, how are you?
Schicchi, I like it. Very good.
Sketchy.
I like it. Vincent Sketchy Chi. And Tom Denier Jr.
Close enough.
Close enough. Denier. All right.
Tom Denier, who's so much an asshole.
All right. And Michael Harvey.
Yep. And we have a special guest. We have an extra. Drop by. Straggler. Eli Livingston, amazing sculptor.
Yep. And that's when I fell off the rails and really, I'm here.
And this is being broadcast from Empire Effect Studio. Long Island.
Promotional whore.
And I'm having the heart and the hammer when people don't speak in their turn.
So, well, Eli's a new guy here, and he said he was a sculptor. Now,
right, yeah.
Eli, grab the heart.
So when all you guys are getting into, you want to do makeup or sculpting or whatever, was sculpting your first like art form? That is what you wanted to do. How did it come about that you wanted to do sculpting?
Well, believe it or not, I actually wanted to get into makeup effects first, but then I realized foam latex and rubber doesn't shape itself, so I had to get into sculpting. Then came the next hurdle, which was mold making, and after a few years in the industry, I realized I wasn't as great of a sculptor as I thought I was. So I, so after swallowing that big pill, I got a job in the toy industry, working with Art Asylum, and so I focused on my weaknesses, and now I realize that I really enjoy being in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Hope that answered your questions.
Yes.
I hope that. Fulfilling us.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get to everybody else in a second. While we're on that subject, what kind of stuff have you worked on? Do you do like monsters, or what kind of sculpting do you do? What kind of genre?
Definitely, mostly comic book characters, licensed ones. In the beginning, I did a lot of both heroes and villains for Marvel. For Diamond Select Toys, more villains though. Then because they're scary and they're easier to sculpt. I've done some fine artwork, like for Gator Giger, and I have done some of my own concepts as far as monsters go, but most of them have been licensed, like the aliens, the Predator, and what have you. Other than that, usually I'm just here to whenever Tom. As far as makeup effects go, I usually work for Tom.
I'm sorry. Eli, where can we see your work?
You can see my work on Instagram, Doombuster7.
There you go, Doombuster7.
Doombuster7 is the official plug for Eli.
Nice.
Definitely not Mothbuster.
No Mothbuster.
Well, since you mentioned Tom, let's get an introduction from Tom. Give us an idea of basically what you do.
What I do?
Yeah.
Neil. Sorry, Neil. I just did
That's
that.
all right.
Yeah. Anyway, Neil. Everybody here at this table, we all have the same friggin' background, man. We all watched all the sci-fi, all the movies, all the horror. We got victimized. Then we got back to the bus. We all have the best friggin' action figures. Who has the myth in the box? But that's where it all stems from. It stems from a passion of just making our own toys. Making all our childhood dreams. Go ahead, John.
I played with my action figures. I didn't leave them in the box. I blew mine up. My brother, that too.
That's where it all started from. Reading a lot of graphic novels. Some guys are into
movies. Super great movies. Yeah, along that.
Absolutely. But I think it is we all wanted to
change our appearance.
You know what it is? Exactly.
Change our appearance.
Exactly. It's a world full of nobody's trying to be somebody. And our way to do it. We couldn't be rock stars and movie gods. So the one passion we did have was this thing called make-up effects. Who said it? Dick Smith, that Frankenstein thing?
Frankenstein effect.
Yeah. You create it, start to finish, and the part of you comes to life. So we took this passion, and it's a passion that very, very rarely gets fulfilled. But the group of guys... Empire State Effect. Sorry, Neil. Got the LLC on that. What the bottom line is, anybody that can consider themselves a professional doing this stuff should count their blessings, because not everybody fulfills their dreams and desires. Everybody in this room has a name for themselves.
The question was, what is your name, Tom? And that's where we started. Yeah.
It all was about a name? It was about a name. Who gives a shit? Anyway, I hope I answered some questions, Neil.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Not necessarily Neil's question, but a question.
Yeah. We'd well stick on the street, and we didn't do band camp, so we kind of all made our friends up like monsters and put scars on them.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
For me.
Yeah.
I have very loving memories of band camp.
Come to think of it, I realized how many you ran your roads.
Sorry. They didn't just learn how to open a beer with a
First time.
Let's get them. We'll get the heart to. We'll start with Michael for this one, Michael Harvey, because you mentioned everyone is fulfilled their dream here, getting into the business. How did you even go about pursuing it? Because it does seem like something that's not there's not a typical way, I don't think, to get into doing makeup or special effects. Like how does one even pursue that?
For me, I pursued it at 12 years old. My first, let's say, recollection was watching Robert Englund being turned into Freddy Krueger in a People magazine. That's how I got into it. And then I just explored behind the scenes of movies and television, Fangora magazine, Starlog, whatever you want to call it. And then I ended up finding any school that was in the States that offered some sort of special effects course, and that was an art institute. And oddly enough, there's a bunch of us at this table that did share that same experience of going to that school, and we all went off on our own.
Let's learn from Lon Chaney.
I thought that was Moses.
And him too.
My apologies for the table. Off the rails. I do have the heart. Who wants to get the heart? And for me, that's where I got my start back in the early 90s. And my first job was in Florida on a very odd television show called Sequest with Roy Scheider. That was my first real union job. Yeah. And then it brought me to New York, and then this is how I met this group of surly individuals that are unfortunately connected by some way, form, or fashion. Maybe certain.
Give it some time, man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mike won't be here this time.
I'll be too busy working.
How about sketchy Schicchi there? Let's get something from him.
Sketchy teacher. Sorry. I had him right off the bat.
Hold on.
A nickname is born. Well, what's the question?
What was the question? Yeah. So how did you get into the business?
For me, it was actually Star Wars in the Cantina sequence, and I started doing Super 8 stop motion. And then I saw American Werewolf because I was already sculpting and I didn't know what to do with it, so I realized I could turn that into makeup. So for me, it was all American Werewolf, and then I just went out there. There weren't any schools when I was a kid. So for me, that just getting my name out there and working in any shop I could.
Yeah.
So I worked at a couple of low-budget shops in Jersey, on a show called Monsters, a movie called Street Trash, right at a high school.
I'm a big fan of Street Trash. Sure.
Yeah, that was my first film ever.
Oh, nice.
And then I went back. That's how I started.
Yeah. But when you say so there isn't a school, how do you even find those shops to work for? Like how do you even go about finding them?
As a kid, I used to actually call it Dick Smith as a kid.
Wow.
I found his number in the phone book, and I got on the phone with the guy, and he stayed on the phone with me for 2 hours. And I never forgot at 12 years old going, Dick, I got to go. My mom's calling me for dinner. But he actually told me all the books to get. Then I called the Savini. I got on the phone with him, and they told me the places to go to. I ended up finding a young man who wanted to put me into adult films. For me, I got one. I put my name out there. I made every call I could, and somebody one day said, "Let's give you a try." And I worked for $5 a day and transportation, and it was worth every minute.
Yes, he was.
My ass is sore, but
yeah. Well, let's get to Keith. That'll be the last of the new people that I've never talked to before. So, Keith, how about your story? Good. How are you doing?
I got started pretty much the same way you guys all did. All interested in the monsters, the original Universal monsters and whatnot. But I started a little bit later. I didn't get into this business till I was about 30 years old. I decided I was having a really bad day doing the job I was doing. Started looking through what were you doing? I was doing tile work.
Okay. Funny story. Keith is actually 73 years old.
That's right. 73, going on 40. That's it. So I started looking through my magazines that I was hoarding.
The Hustler and Playboy.
Absolutely. And they all had makeup schools in them. And
Hey, Hustler airbrushes their vagina.
Absolutely.
Hey,
I got the heart.
The heart's a good system.
I ended up going to school, getting away from family for about a year, and that was fun. And then just banging on doors after that. Actually going down to the city with calling cards and sticking them on taxi cabs outside of NBC, wherever I would go.
Brothels.
Yeah, brothels, anywhere. Finally got a start on All My Children, and
Daytime, huh?
Daytime. Got in the daytime.
I didn't know that either.
Yep. Got in the daytime, and they said, "How come you're not in the union?" I said, "Because they're not letting me in." I said, "Fill out your paperwork, get it down there." Gave me names of people.
Daytime TV's like having a liberal arts degree.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it was All My Children, One Life to Live. Whatever paid the bills at the time.
A lot of hats in that line of work.
Absolutely.
Betty Hospital.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to commandeer you're good, Keith?
Yeah, that's
I'm going to commandeer for how do people remember Alcom? Remember the old Alcom? There's a store in New York City called Alcom.
The one you
and they're like the number, they're basically the primary makeup supply store here in New York. What they had in their Long Island City location, the wall, the bulletin board that had all the that had all the colors on the bulletin board. I'm sure they don't have that much anymore. But there was a makeup, like I said, the makeup store in New York called Alcone. And it was like probably in the 80s, mid 80s is when they would actually they allow makeup artists and people that are in production that literally would put their business cards up along the outside of the window, which is a warehouse. And a lot of us, I think, we connected. That's how I met you.
We got a break story coming up. So there was
California.
Yeah, and there was that sort of, it wasn't like we had the ability to sort of call people up unless we found each other out or something like this, and that's how we did it. And a lot of it was
who had the Gary Bird dog photo? Do you remember that? You would know that. Remember there was radar
right?
And there was a picture of him with his throat cut on the Alcone wall. Sorry, that popped in my head. Brian Holt. I worked that. Because I was taking the Alcone. Sorry, Frank.
That's okay. All right. So go ahead, Neil. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, it's good. So for Craig, is it usual since all you guys are friends? You got a lot of people here. Is that usual for people who work in makeup to be friendly with each other, or is that unusual?
Yeah. Speaking of, Josh is not here today.
Second time I've done this with you that he's bailed on.
Well, I'll look at it this. The people around this table, when we talked about it last time, there was that time when we first start, there's a little bit of that kind of like, I'm starting out new, I might be a little bit more hungry, I might be a little more aggressive, I might do things that maybe I might regret at certain time. But the people that are surrounding this table, like, we're at a point where we don't worry about that shit. That's, I think, the reason why we're all around the table talking and having fun.
Now we're all foxhole friends.
Yeah, because we're all foxhole friends. If people understand that terminology, we're foxhole friends. It's a different, it's unlike what it was when we first started, because everyone's hungry for their job, and it's like the survival of the fittest. But as people start to grow and they get to know each other, you start to realize that everyone just sort of is, we all have the likes, we all have the same interests, we all kind of came up the same path, so a lot of us find that camaraderie between in our own experience.
Hold on.
Sorry. We're going away.
So, Neil, how's that? You want me to pass the mic to somebody else?
Yeah, that's great. So let's go with we haven't talked to Jeremy yet. How about since you guys are all Jeremy, since you guys all are in New York, is there a difference between the film industry in New York and TV and stuff as opposed to LA or Atlanta or other places?
Well, in fairness, I'm from New Jersey, so
All right.
a different point of view. I think it's pretty different. New York is a much tighter knit. I mean, I can't speak for Atlanta just because it's still so very new. But LA, where all this was born, much bigger industry. Here in New York, it's a lot tighter knit. I don't think whether or not we all like each other or not, we all know each other. Every single one of us is familiar. There's not a guy out here working that we're not familiar with, or girl, or worked with at least once. Yeah, exactly. We cross paths with on set all the time. It's too small. Even as busy and big as New York is, there just aren't that many of us. So you have to stay on at least speaking terms with everyone.
And we all do it all. That's the difference.
Yeah.
LA, you have to stop with 20 guys who have just hired sculptors, 20 painters. All of us at this table have worked for each other, have worked for ourselves, and have done every aspect of the industry.
Jacks of all trades.
Jack off of all trades. Yeah.
Left the end of it.
So we're like the mom and pop, where LA is like the Walgreens and the corporations. We're like the mom and pop sort.
Wait, Tom wants to...
Well, before some of my fellow constituents put their foot in their mouth. Okay, LA.
But he worked on the coast. You worked on the coast.
The thing is now, because the industry has gotten a lot more tenured, it's an industry and it is a craft that is no longer new.
No one talks about video art cooking.
So, I mean, I always had the most respect for English, Great Britain, artists that came out of there because, they've been making great films and effects for years.
Hammer films are the best.
Well, that's true. But But as far as like now, because techniques and the technology and what we do is now, it's not the 80s. It's not like, oh my God, this thing called special makeup effect. Now it's like, well, the materials are available. It's on your level of interest, what your abilities are, and who is willing to go out there. So there's people coming from everywhere, all over the world. So we got to watch our asses. But the one thing, no, we do. We laugh and smile that little weird fucking ass. Well, that wasn't very convincing, but you know what I'm talking about, man. We got to look out for us. The one thing about New Yorkers is, when I say New Yorkers, I mean Jersey. East Coast.
Connecticut.
No, not East Coast. I mean Northeast. I mean Kentucky, Philadelphia. You know what? I mean Connecticut. Hey, man.
Appalachia.
I call Pennsylvania. I was born in Philadelphia. Sorry, I'm getting off the. But the thing is about the area here, we're all, we're in it. Yeah. We're all in it together.
100%.
And we hate everybody equally. But actually hate those that want to come into our pond and piss in it.
Yeah.
So we got to look out for each other.
Agree with that.
Yeah. So, but LA is getting not as much work as it used to get. There's a lot of work going to Atlanta, a lot of work going to South Africa, a lot of work going to Canada, a lot of work going to Tokyo, a lot of work going to New Zealand. Yeah. So we have to start thinking as, like I said, foxhole firms. Yep. We all give each other the
reinventing. That's what it is about corporations. If there's 5,000 in LA working, even if it's a small industry, 4,000 aren't. There's such a small amount of it here. We're all working.
Yeah. But we look out for each other. We bitch about each other behind each other's back. That motherfucker guy, I put a bitch for that job. Why didn't he get it? You know, he's got to raise his rate. I don't know what the fuck is going on. We all got to make like we get the same rates.
But you never had Stan Winston, Rick Baker, all these guys hanging out, having drinks, talking in a podcast. That's true. We all know each other well enough. We can go, let's hang out and do this.
And we all have cute asses. That's also true. I like Harvey. Make a face like I really got to work on my business.
It's basically a more functional version of group therapy.
We haven't got anything from Anthony yet. So, Anthony, did you have anything to add about New York or other areas?
London after midnight. No, Twilight. London after Twilight. Go ahead, Anthony.
I knew.
Hey.
Oh yeah. Wait, I got the heart. What's in the world? There's so much condemned. You're breathing very loudly.
Hey, Anthony, how's it going? So, did you have anything to add? Did you have anything to add about New York? And since actually someone did bring up London After Midnight, is that's like a holy grail for horror movie fans? Is that also something that makeup artists would like someone to discover a copy of?
Oh man!
I feel like I got the hardest question. What is Glenn Heckler's thing?
Okay, so. How about you? You fucked up. Okay. Anthony passes. Is that an option?
Sure. Yeah, you can pass. That's fine.
All right. So, adding on to.
Man, I fucking lost already.
All right, Neil. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to pass. We'll come back to him.
Do you want to call a friend?
All right. Who would you like to talk to?
You're gonna use one of the lifelines. So.
Yeah, use the lifeline. You know, I'm gonna say something.
Craig's tapping in.
All right. I'm gonna talk like until I get to the point.
What else is new?
So actually, wow, he's barely here and he says something to me. Wow. Okay. So Neil, what's next question? Until
did you have anything about the London After Midnight? Since that was brought up. And yeah.
Can I tell a story?
No. Oh wait. No. Okay. Well, it's like one of those. You know, it's
we have the image of the makeup. We have, everyone, you can easily see the image of the makeup anywhere, the London After Midnight look. Obviously the pieces of the movie are lost. I know they've tried to sort of reconstruct it a little bit. When we talked about the last time about who we as makeup artists kind of, kept close to the breast. Vic Smith was one of the makeup artists that we keep very close. That we keep close to the heart. We talked about Lon Chaney. Tom Holland was another guy that around the same time. No, there was another makeup artist around the time. He also wrote a book. Wasn't his last name Holland? Tom Holland? Who also, man. That's I knew Mark. Going on where going nowhere. Okay, so
Men, Makeup, and Monsters.
Because there was another guy that came out with another makeup book around the same time that Richard Corson came out with, which was late time. Do you remember when Lee Bacon? No, Lee Bacon was like in the 60s. There's another guy behind it.
That's the people that would.
I know no one knows what I'm talking about.
What the fuck you're talking
Well, I guess you're all right. And I guess that's the sad part, isn't it? Isn't that a sad part? I mean,
yeah,
all people will know. No, it's not that. It's like we're going back to what Vinny said about people who will know the history of makeup and take those people and kind of keep them close in admiration. When we talk about Dick Smith a lot, it's because of his the fact that
groundbreaking
2-hour work. For a guy that was, a 12-year-old boy, just talking to him for 2 hours, and all of us all have history. No, wait, we get to
No one's saying
No, I'm driving the fact that that people who are interested in makeup effects may not necessarily be interested in the history of makeup effects.
They should be. They should.
Well, when we talk about Lon Chaney, and we talk about
just fucking YouTube.
It's well. I mean, I don't want to diverge and move into a certain direction of the podcast, but the fact that I think all of us here could talk about certain makeup artists and hold them in good hands and warn them, as opposed to someone saying who is that? And I think that's a big connection between all of them.
Yeah.
Because we had him as an admiration for certain makeup artists, and you talk about American Whale from London, and that was one of the movies that also turned me into like, well, maybe makeup might be a thing.
It's a viable,
as a way to get into it.
But we all learn from the bottom. We all learn the basics of makeup.
Right.
Everything from the bottom.
That's what Craig is saying.
Right, exactly.
And you're right. A lot of the kids today
are starting way up here before they're starting down at the bottom.
They don't know. Everything is internet. Everything is a carbon copy of a carbon copy.
Yeah.
We went back and saw the original through noses. Yeah. We saw the original. We followed the history of the business from the silent era. So I don't know. I'm lost.
I don't remember what the question was. I'm trying to. We weren't the blind following the blind.
There you go. Correct.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead.
Start us anew, Neil.
All right. Well, Eli, we'll go back to Eli here, and I would like to know, since over the last few years, like streaming sites have really taken off, Amazon, Hulu, Shudder, and all these things. How has that affected all of you as makeup artists, sculptors, or anything in the industry? Because it would seem like there's more content out there. But does it also affect the pay, since some of these are streaming sites and they might not have the budget?
Amazon's got deep pockets. Well, even though I'm probably the one with the least experience to answer this, the best I can tell you is that when you're dealing with something with great demand, you're given like a limited amount of time and a limited amount of resources. So you kind of have to find a way to put your best foot forward with what you got rather than with what you prefer. So it is a challenge, but on the other hand, it doesn't destroy us, so it only makes us stronger.
Perfect.
Doing what you can with what you got.
I will Amazon is the most generous network I've ever worked for. Yeah.
I like that. Don't they greenlight everything?
No, that's Netflix.
I'm sorry.
No, I definitely think that
with the advent of streaming media, there's been more work than ever before for a lot of us.
Netflix is opening. Netflix is opening a new production hub in New York.
Yeah,
I mean, to promote those guys.
Absolutely.
As long as they're paying a major contract rate, they're
right. But I feel that the issue with any sort of industry, when there's an abundance of possibilities, the resources become limited extremely fast. And in a place like New York City, even though there are a lot of us, like as opposed to other towns or other cities in America, I feel that this kind of stretches a lot of us thin, where the quality tends to degrade. You know, when you have 20 shows from Netflix shooting in New York, or 30 shows from Hulu, and on top of that, the network shows, the Broadway shows, and all the other things that are happening in New York, it's like you end up getting you know what? There are certain shows with all this major streaming. Some of the shows get lucky enough to get the more experienced guys, and you watch. I'm sure, Anthony, we all watch certain shows on Netflix and the streamings and gone, "Oh, that's terrible." No shows mention nothing, and then you can see someone go, "That's really good." There's so many shows now. I think there's too much. Some shows are getting the bottom of the barrel, and it's not their fault. It's just they're doing available.
But I'll tell you what, though, there is so much internet entertainment and more networks and more. There's so many friggin' channels out there. We're all working.
We never stop.
We're all working. I mean, the level of quality and the time frames that we get and the budgets that we get. I mean,
Little Park.
It's true at Park. So, I mean, the one thing I'll give us East Coast guys, especially Northeast Coast guys, we get 3 weeks and we do 3 months of work in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
At what cost, though?
Yeah.
But we do it.
But that's legit true of all departments. I mean, everywhere. I'm working with ADs that have never AD'd before, and because they didn't spend 2 years as a PA. They spent 3 weeks as a PA.
There's so much work.
Exactly.
And they don't have the experience.
Exactly.
They're short-handed in production.
All they did was
they don't have a lot of experience production.
I mean, even producers, you get
don't know scheduling.
Right, and we have to train them. Yeah, we have to train them in what we do. I mean, they have no idea what we do.
The point of almost having to tell producers, like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Exactly.
Because we're seasoned.
I've been working with a line producer lately who's like, he's just super nice guy. He's like, look, I'm coming to you for this shit just because I've never done it before. I haven't been doing this long enough. So, like, if you don't mind, can I just ask you questions, even on jobs you're not working on? Like, yeah, all right, because it makes a better position for all of us. But
20 years ago, we would have been at each other's throats.
Yep.
We were all hungry 20 years ago. Yeah. Well, you hire certain people.
Well, I didn't know your job. It's interesting. I think that a lot of us could say, except for those that might be department heads or but it's okay. But the thing is that a lot of us are working on multiple shows.
Yeah.
That's going back to what Tom was saying, that there's and everyone else was saying that there's so much there's a plethora of work going on that a lot of us can't really say that we're doing one show exclusively because of what we're doing. You're on Mike's on Law and Order SVU, Pepe's on whatever that show is you're doing.
I'm on Blind List.
Blind Box. But a lot of us here are doing multiple shows because it's so busy in New York and not wood that it is as busy as it is. But the taxing center will get 20 got extended. So a lot of us are doing multiple shows, even though we may do one show more exclusively than another. But we are having to go out to other areas.
They still in. Like I'll just say, I just did Power last week. Craig, that's really your show.
Yeah,
we'll go. Oh, I'll do a day over there. Fine. We do a bunch of shows that we run in a way, but we'll all do bits and pieces on those shows.
But because we trust each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's not trust. It's the idea that
tendency.
It's not a tendency. It's that you have a strong suit. You have a strong suit. We all have strong suits, and those of us who are relying on other people, meaning department heads, I don't have the ability to do certain things. So I'll call it Jeremy, or I'll call it Vinny, or I'll call it a Keith, or I'll call the Craig and say, hey, I need this, that, or the other.
You're the Craig.
He's the Craig.
with a to supply me with something that I may need. And there's other people within this table that we all rely on, even though we're all friends.
Here.
We're all
And then you get a hump out of that guy.
I get a hump out of that guy. Watch your ass.
Basically, what it comes down to is that everybody at this table, we're all friends, we're all co-workers, and we all rely on each other to try to get the job done so we can excel at what we do, not only as professionals, but as a colleague of people from the Northeast, to show everybody else from the West Coast, everywhere else, that we know what we're doing, so don't fuck with us.
So we're all very nice. I'm going to grab the heart. This is Vinny. That goes to what
Vinny said no.
was saying is that the West Coast for years had that reputation. Oh, you have affecting creatures you call the West Coast. Only in the last 10 years, maybe 20, but really in the last 10, we've got to prove ourselves that we're just as capable as they are. We never had that reputation. And I'm sure we find ourselves, we've all been in the situations of being hired by West Coast people, and they're going, oh, there actually are good people here. We never were able to prove that before. We're kind of like a new kid being born, where we're finally showing, like, hey, look what we can really do.
You're not 50 years old?
Even at 50.
And then some.
Okay.
We're all a bunch of old eagles.
Let's suppose somebody really gives a shit about if anybody is listening to us. If there are young people listening to us right now, what kind of advice would any of us give them?
Don't get into this.
Get real. Do not do this.
Yeah.
We may sound happy, but we go cry ourselves to sleep.
But how many other jobs have we had?
None. A lot. I've been doing this.
Always done this?
As far as I mean, I work in retail and shit, but this was my first
Right.
Regular jobs.
But don't give up on your dreams.
Absolutely not. Never.
But you gotta want to do it. Yeah. And it's not gonna come to you.
But I think don't give up. I think that's the advice period. You don't give up. It's no glamour. You love it, you follow through it, and that's why we're here.
And especially makeup effects, man. Makeup effects is getting sticky, it's getting dirty, it's meeting deadlines, it's sleeping in your own filth for 3 days. It's washing your ass in a splat sink when you don't want
But he does that regularly anyway.
Yeah, terrible soap bags. Well, all joking aside,
Yeah.
you gotta want to do it.
You gotta have thick skin.
You do have to.
Oh, thick. Yeah, I mean,
Well, you can't just wake up one day and decide, I'm going to do special effects makeup.
Yes, there were a lot of people.
There's got to be a passion.
Well, that's the internet generation.
That is the
It's exactly like
It's called instant gratification.
It's exactly like that
generation.
And we talked about this time we were on.
Generation of computers where everybody wants everything right now.
Yeah, and we've all been conditioned to it because we have to be, because if you don't answer your text in 2 seconds, you lost the job.
You lose a job.
You lose your job.
the big house suddenly about your resume is how many Instagram followers you have.
That's a very good point. That's a good point.
Who you know. That was not who you know, who you blow.
Yeah.
This industry is for all the ones that really don't have that stuff.
As much as it is about talent, it's much about fortitude. You got to be able to work 16-hour days. You got to be able to work in 3 weeks' time for half the budget. And you can't say no, because if you say no, they're going to go to the next guy and they're going to get the job, regardless of the quality. Regardless of the quality, they're going to do it because everybody's trying to save a dollar. Everybody's trying to make it on a budget and on a time frame. And this thing is, the sad thing about today's world is that everybody watches their content on a phone, on an iPad.
Yeah.
So the quality can be lackluster.
I mean,
it doesn't have to be the.
Who here watched, the last fucking Avengers or Star Wars trailer? Who actually watched it on TV and not on their phone?
I watch shit on TV.
But it wasn't even on TV, though.
I saw Infinity War on TV.
What was? Always still comes out.
No, but I'm saying, but we don't watch
That's a creepy point. Very valid.
Over the trailers that we all think of our phones.
Neo,
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
No, it's a good point though about because that's a pet peeve of mine. I don't like to watch things on my phone unless
I'll
just
never
like a
watch a movie
YouTube video of somebody I know or something. But a movie or something, you're not going to enjoy it on your phone. I saw the new I saw the new Godzilla trailer last week on an IMAX screen, and it was awesome, to see it on the great big
I
screen.
just saw it on the phone. I'm imagining IMAX.
Is that King of the Monsters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. My new best friend.
I even like Patrick to top this Godzilla. I like the Godzilla with Matthew Broderick.
It's such a ridiculous movie. It's such a joke.
I think I wanted to clarify something. Is when we talked about difference between East Coast and West Coast, I don't want anyone to think that we are disrespecting the people from the West Coast.
Not at all.
I want to make sure, and I want to clarify that we're not the people.
That's right.
Ray, we might have a Bartlett who's a makeup guy, amazing makeup guy. And when Keith and I worked on a movie called Lincoln, and we worked with a lot of West Coast makeup artists. And when you talk to them, you kind of go, well, they're just like people who want to work. And a lot of them are become our good friends. Yeah. So I want to make sure that no one thinks that we think we're better than they are because we do everything from the start to the finish, unlike it's departmentalized. No, I just want to say, I think that's what it is. I think that we are tired of being we could be considered to be the redheaded stepchild of the business because we're from New York. But the primary difference is that we do good work, and I think a lot of the people who do work in the business, we're not talking about directors, we're not talking about producers, we're talking about fellow makeup artists. Mm-hmm. And this goes across the board. I have a feeling that 90% of the makeup artists on the West Coast would be around this table, just as we are, having a drink and talking the same thing. That we all have that connection. We all love what we're doing. And that is the central thing through all our lives. And it doesn't matter, East Coast, West Coast, Prague, New Zealand, London, it doesn't matter. We all have that we all, if you talk to someone from another country, they say, what got you into makeup? They say, I like monsters. Yeah. How many of you can say the same thing? It's universal. That, like I said, we could have people from all over the world around the table. I didn't make the connection, but that's kind of a nice little point going there. But I think that's what I really want to say, that we're not disrespecting the people from the West Coast. I think a lot of us adore a lot of people from the West Coast because they're makeup artists and they love them.
I don't think I would have been here if it wasn't for the West Coast. The only thing American Werewolf, that did it for me. And so I'll respect them to the end.
The only thing New York had a couple, maybe 20 years ago was one iteration of Law and Order and Broadway. And then in the last, thankfully, in the time of my career, New York just exploded. And, you can't even call it Hollywood East anymore because it's its own entity.
And we're New York.
Yeah, it's New York.
Well, Hollywood East is more like Atlanta.
Yeah.
We don't even connect to Hollywood.
Did films start here in New Jersey?
Yeah. Well, Edison. West Orange.
Edison was a dick.
If he was. He was an ass.
West Orange, New Jersey, the Black Road.
And we'll say that for a lot. That's true. You stole shit from fucking
Tesla.
David Bowie.
Whoa.
You. Great adventure.
Yeah. Holy. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. So it's fine. We'll go with Michael for this one because so Craig keeps, and a lot of people brought up a love of monsters. So let's say you get in because you love monsters, you like science fiction, you like creatures, all this stuff. Obviously, there's not going to be just doing that. So you start to work on a show where it's more traditional makeup. Do you then fall in love with that too? Because it's completely different than making a monster.
Yeah. Well, you know what happened? I grew up in the effects world with monsters and creatures and such, and then it became a very dry spell for me, and I had to learn the beauty end of things just to stay busy in the industry because I wanted to stay within the circle of people that were working. So I had to get the jobs where they were just literally blush and lipstick.
Well, we should get some history on Mike. Mike's been working on Law and Order since 1973.
That's true. This will be next year. Will be my 9th year on Law and Order. So it's been a combination of beauty makeup and effects makeup. And when I say effects makeup, it still has to be within the realm of television ratings and what they will allow on television, just because it's a standard PG type realm, where it's a little bit of blood, it's a bruising, it's a Y incision, it might be a dead body, but the thing is, there's just enough for me to stay current with it. As much as I'm doing blush and lipstick and beauty makeup and running a department, I'm doing still the dead bodies and the tattoos and the makeup for it all. It's
And Jeremy makes good Kugel. I do make good Kugel, damn it. Happy Passover.
But within that world of Law and Order, it's opened the doors to so many other people, because I've had to call on them, or they've called on me for other things. And that's what made us come together tonight, and we're all sitting here having a good time and sharing each other's experiences. And within the last decade, we've all crossed each other's paths in some form or fashion. Let it be just in the world of blood and guts, or let it be in the world of character, blush and lipstick, or character. I mean, it's all makeup. It's all makeup, and we're all just doing the best we can to create the characters that we have been provided with within the budget and the time frame, and obviously the evidence shows in every job and every show or every movie that we work in. So it's a different avenue, but it's all rewarding.
Yeah. Since Anthony passed on the last one, do you have anything to add to that when you're working in non-genre makeup?
Non-genre? All I heard was non-genre makeup. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, if you instead of like making monsters or creatures, that kind of thing, when you're doing more of like a realistic makeup on a regular TV show or movie, because I assume that's not what you got in originally because you love the monsters and stuff. So, do you find the appreciation for that and the love for doing that as well? What's the differences?
I do.
See, Pepe's another. Sorry to interrupt you. Pepe's another good one for that, because he's department headed a TV show for like the last 5 years.
Right. Blacklist on NBC. 9 o'clock.
So who's turning season 1?
Okay, everybody focus still. Great job, man.
Elementary.
Okay, I have the heart. So yeah, I feel that doing a lot of the reality stuff like wounds. I'm pretty in the same boat that Mike Harvey's in, where we're both doing like a lot of bruises, cuts, wounds, burns, the occasional really graphic thing. But NBC doesn't really like to show a lot of graphic stuff.
No, but the Wound Wizard can do that.
But I've been fortunate enough with Blacklist that they actually allow me to do some really grotesque things within reason. Like we just did one where a head burst open with needles like erupting from it.
What's in the pictures?
It's very similar to like what Tom Savini did in Creepshow with what's the guy's name? Eli Wallach. Eli Wallach. No, Eli Wallach. I had the E in there. Ups and crack. So we do a lot of graphic stuff like that in conjunction with like VFX and things like that. But I do appreciate that the industry is still alive. Like having not done any serious monster work for a while, I come to Tom and Vinny's shop and I see Jeremy's shop where they have monsters. People are still asking for monsters and things like that. So I'm glad that it still exists. It hasn't died out. They figured when silicone was coming in, the age of the foam rubber monster would be dead, but I think it's more prevalent now than ever. But overall, I can't complain with what I have. But at the same time, once the show actually does end, who knows? After whatever. I like to go back to like doing monsters and things like that, or working in conjunction with more of the harder makeup effects. I guess, would you call like makeup effects light? Diet makeup.
Low calorie.
Low calorie fat.
Oh, I like that.
Can I get the heart? Can I get the
Right in front of you.
That's good.
Okay. First of all, low calorie effects. I'll call it low fulfilling for the artist effect. Do we ever get to do what we have to do here?
I have to do
Wait. How often do we?
Not often.
Very much.
But it happens. But I'm going to just.
If it didn't happen, we wouldn't be
All
here.
right, Tom and I both worked on the Smirch. Tom worked on the It was not.
Why do you gotta bring up shit I didn't get credit for?
Tom every job you've ever done. Actually, he was snuffed on spring break.
Just for the record, Neil, before the continue, I am known amongst my peers as Tom No Credit to Me. I've done so many things that are, is this high profile?
Yeah.
That I have A-list?
I'm concerned. I'm hanging out. I'd rather be hanging out with new people than the finest people in the world.
No, but I'm bringing it up for one reason. Like I just did beauty makeup on Smirch. I did a girl's makeup. I did Jayla and I did Neil. Just two regular actors while Tom did Gargamel. For me, I found some filming. I enjoyed it. I saw the artwork and making her look beautiful and just making it look nice. And I felt good at that time. Every day I told my wife, I don't think respect for it. And that was tinsel
Wait, Jimmy's got to tell us.
No, Neil Patrick Harris and I, everyone knows Neil's gay, and Neil and I would have words every day. What sounds the gayest? And Neil once looked in the trailer and stopped everyone from doing their work and just went, tinsel.
That's pretty gay word.
It's very, but what it's saying, I found appreciation with just the meaning. So I appreciate all that. I realize now there's actually a lot of skill and a lot of work that goes into just making someone look good. It's not always about the effects, it's just about the art in general.
Well, paying your bills.
Yeah, paying your bills.
The best advice I ever got in regards to beauty makeup, because I was hired.
That's Jeremy talking.
Yeah, that's Jeremy talking. The first full-time gig I got there wasn't just effects where I was a key makeup artist. I was terrified of the beauty makeup. I was told just to think of it as a different kind of character makeup. So, and that worked. That got it through my brain. There was no terror anymore. It was character makeup. The character just happened to be a beautiful lady. So, just a different way of thinking about the same skill set.
All right, I'm going to grab it for a second. Well, I think all of us started with love of monsters and creatures, but when you do that, you sort of pigeonhole yourself as being a guy that does gore or something of that nature.
And you got to pay the bills.
And you got to pay the bills. And so many. Not that we were. I never felt I was forced to do beauty makeup. I think a lot of us people here might say we were not forced to do straight makeup or beauty makeup. We're doing a lot of it lately. It's just another.
I think we have to bring up. By the way, but I think we have to bring up Saturday Night Live because that involves all of the makeup. Sorry, beauty makeup as well.
Okay. Just finish what I'm going to say, and then we can get into if you want to get into SNL or not. But
Greg and
I mean that. And I feel that if you want to, I look at it like this way. If I want to call myself a makeup artist, just a makeup artist, I have to say that I can do beauty makeup. And I remember the first interview we did that I said that I do decent beauty makeup, but I think a lot of people here, simply by the nature of being in it, Keith, right? Mm-hmm. That we did, Mike, same thing. Is that we all did beauty makeup.
And you learn to do it better.
Right.
Because you constantly do it on a day in, day out basis, and you get better at it. And it opens up a whole other avenue for you. Because you just don't go creature, you go beauty now. And now when you can bounce back and forth, it makes you more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Viable.
Versatile.
In the industry.
At the end of the day, it's all painting a face. Let it be a blood effect or a bruise effect or blush and beauty. It's painting a face.
You know what I think of as is a great example? Howard Berger, great guy, one of the founders of Candy.
Oh, he was in fucking Wishmaster last night. I saw him.
There you go.
Art security guard Howard Berger.
Because Nick Cotero directed it. That was Nick Cotero's first directing.
No shit.
But Berger is now Mark Wahlberg's personal makeup artist. So there's a lot of jobs he does that are very light on effects, but he's doing Mark Wahlberg's expensive, skincare regimen, his day-to-day makeup look. Howard is known for but it's still there's money to be made and a career to be made.
Well, it's like Tom said, it's a requirement of our union.
Yeah, it's makeup.
We have
Right.
to all do makeup.
Erection, sustained.
Yeah. Once upon a time, it was just makeup.
Here's
There was no secondary, this wasn't specialty makeup. It was just part and parcel.
Here's the catch. There's like special effects is part of the union, but it's not as required. And you don't have to be a prosthetics artist to be in the union.
Skincare is a big part.
Skincare is a big part. But we're not estheticians.
No,
right.
That's true.
No, correct. But the thing is, everybody I hire, I expect them to at least be able to do beauty makeup. The effects people, like whenever I have an effects, I bring in someone for effects. I don't automatically assume that they're going to do beauty makeup for me. I hire people, like Mike said earlier, to the best of their ability. I'm going to hire strong beauty artists. I'm going to hire strong effects artists. I'm not going to try and make them do one or the other. But we have a background. You should have a background. It's all the same. It's all highlight and shadow. It's just different colors. That's all it really is.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, dude, I can fucking harp on that shit.
Okay. Go ahead, Neil. Next question.
Who was it who wanted to talk? Who wanted to say something about SNL?
Who?
Greg and Tom.
Tom and Craig.
Yeah, I just brought it up, meaning what Craig was saying, which was about knowing all forms of makeup. SNL actually gave us the chance, even though I think Craig, myself, Vinny, and Tom did mainly bald casting, character makeup, but we were kind of forced.
Yeah.
Oh, and we were kind of forced to go, you have to do some beauty makeup. So it actually was, you have to know a little bit, and I think it was a good thing. I think it showed us, okay, this is just as difficult in the time frame as this, just because it's out of our comfort zone. But it's still something we all need to know.
Yeah, and I gotta drop a compliment to Louis Carrion.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Hey, no, that's my fucking buddy. We went to Anchor House in Pittsburgh on Dog.
I grew up with the guy.
Yeah, these guys know it's a mile away. All right. Okay, but anyway, I look at SNL as SNL is so amazing because if it wasn't for SNL, I wouldn't be as good as I am.
Well, you know what?
I wouldn't be as
without New York Tax Incentive tomorrow, there would be Broadway and there would be SNL. That's all that would be left in New York.
Right.
So, and Law and Order.
I made my bones on Broadway, sister.
All right. Go ahead, Neil.
Tom, since we're on SNL, I know we talked about it last time with Craig, but how about the live aspect of Saturday Night Live? How is that to work with?
The live aspect of SNL?
That it's live.
I'm sorry, Neil. I have a problem with hearing, and I have smart-ass friends. So, yeah.
That's all right.
You don't have any friends.
Anyway, Neil, and for all the listeners out there, SNL, the one thing about SNL, I'm still at SNL. And I'm only at SNL on the weekends. How long have you been there? I've been there for 17 seasons. That's a lot of seasons. Yeah, and I made a lot of bones there, and I go back because I love the camaraderie. I love seeing Craig. I love seeing Louis, and we got Jason Milani there, and Amy Tagliamonte, and there's just there's a slew of talented people there. Yeah, did I say slew? Yeah, I said slew. Anyway, it really, the one thing, it epitomizes East Coast tri-state area artists. No time, no budget, and we got to put out the best work we can.
I always say commercial break bald cap.
Yeah.
No other show has
the best bald cap we ever did.
Yeah. What was that, 4.5 minutes?
4.5 minutes.
Which didn't that beat the record? Wasn't the
the original record was 6 minutes, and I was part of both of those records. Yeah, I'm getting on the guy's finger right now. A 6 minute one, I think you were there for 6 minutes. Maybe, possibly. But no, we did a 4 minute one.
Okay,
yeah, but if it wasn't for SNL and really techniques and time-saving things, and there's okay, I'm going to tell a story. Who was it that came back? Jason Sudeikis came back recently as a guest on the show. And he said he had a call time in the West Coast 2 hours prior before he was going to be in front of camera. And he asked, why do I have to be here 2 hours prior? And production said, well, you have to get a ball cap on. He goes, no. No, that's what he said. He goes, I'll give you a half an hour because the team at SNL could do it. Watch out. I'll give it to you in 6 minutes. And anybody that knows Rascon knows that very well. Yeah, that's my age. So the amazing thing, and there are fans in the industry who love SNL. I mean, Rick Baker's a huge SNL fan. Anybody, Adrian Moreau, anybody that comes to New York, they love SNL because the one thing that impresses them, and which to this day still impresses me, and I love it, is the techniques that are, that are conceived by Louis' department. Brando. It's a brilliant material. Brendan Guthrie. Yeah, Brendan Guthrie. Whatever. Amazing kid. Recognizing talent. Brilliant. And that's one of the reasons people are like, oh, you still work at SNL? And I'm like, yes, I still work at SNL. But no one's going to say we're good. I got my own clients now with my own studio and everything, but I keep my Saturdays open, and I feel bad when I miss a Saturday night. Because you know what?
Don't have the $83.
Yeah, the pay is a price. It's all about the It's about me keeping up my ability to stay on top.
Right. It's like boiling the machine.
Right. Yeah. So it's just impressive work.
I had 10 years there,
and I feel proud being a member working there and given the ability to work there.
No, I'm good.
And some of the other guys have worked there. They work there a day, 2 days, or whatever, and they've experienced it. But it's not.
Still grab some water in there.
Okay. All right, Neil.
All right. No problem.
I want to ask Keith, because since he works on the Tick, what do you make of the rise of superheroes in film and TV, and what's it like to work on a suit for someone?
Well, working on a suit, basically my job is his head. I work neck up, but it's a team of people who work on the whole suit. We've got literally, we call ourselves the Tick Team 6. That put him together each and every day when we put him on.
Give a shout out to Zach. Zach was
Zach, our lens tech.
Lens tech extraordinaire.
Unbelievable guy. Drop a lens in an eye in seconds. Putting that together is just amazing. When he walks in the room and it's just Peter, and we start zipping him in, putting him up, putting his head on, putting the gears in, putting his face on, and see him turn into the Tick. And then when that voice comes out of his mouth, it's like you watch part of you walk out there with him. Don't know what else there is to say about that. Just sorry about that, Neil. Jay just can't open a beer.
That's all right. That's all right. So,
go ahead.
Go on. Yeah, who's going to say something?
No. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Listen to you. It's your show.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was going to last year, we talked about Face Off, and that some of the people were not
Hey, man.
And so I'd like to get some opinions on Face Off from our new people on this year.
It's a TV show. Okay, we're gonna hand that to Tom first. We're gonna hand that to Tom. So, your opinion on Face Off, Tom? Hold on. Keep it cool. I like the first one. What's your direct question?
Okay. You're asking, Neil. You're asking, what do professionals think about Face Off?
Right.
I don't even know. Or is it? No, it's not. It went off.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay, my main beef, Neil, with Face Off is it's an unrealistic vision or version of what we do.
It's showbiz.
Because what it is, it's reality TV, and like, okay, Face Off. Anthony was on Face Off.
He was on season 1.
And he did great because Anthony has a personality. He did great. Then I worked with Jason Malati over at SNL. And he was season 3, but he got booted or 5. But who the hell? I don't know. But he got booted off early because they're not really looking for talent as far as an artist. They're looking for character. Yeah, character. They're looking for reality TV personality. Yes, they're looking for drama and people. They're not really looking for those that really have a genuine passion for it. But when I first saw Face Off, I was like, oh, wow, great, they're showcasing it. But then it cheapened our industry, and it gave people an unrealistic view of what we do, with time frame, with
9 to 5 was not
ability. This crew's coming in at night. Yep.
Finishing their pieces. And Josh and I have always said, Josh Terry, you couldn't be it. We always talked about what if you want to see this show, give the same 3 days, run the cameras, and show what we actually do when we get a 72-hour day.
That's what it's called scripted reality. Yeah, but that's what it's SNL credit, because if they put a camera on SNL, that's what it would be. That's the reality. But that's all coffee and constipation, all of it, and a disaster.
And fucking sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
Half an hour on the clip, just getting enough sleep to keep going on.
That's 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know that. You know that.
And that's the show I'm
overnight to build stuff for the bottom line about Face Off is it's inspiring. Sure. For those that are passionate and for those that always got picked on because they were different, because they had action figures and graphic novels. I'm sorry, back in the day, I got beat up because they were dolls and comic books. But I got my ass kicked so they could be called action figures and graphic novels. And I'm pretty sure half the guys in there would agree with me.
I never got beat up for my Star Wars story.
That's because you're a youngster. Yeah, but it's good for inspiration.
I got beat up for
but it's a falsified inspiration. It's not grounded in reality.
Not at all.
Especially when producers and young people that want to go into the production business or directing or making movies, they watch a show like that and they go, oh, that's all it takes. Oh, that must be cheap.
Yeah,
no.
You want to shit in 3 days, you're going to fucking pay for it.
Yeah, well, they don't really pay for it as much. We pay for it.
Hey, we all come to foam latex in the oven, setting the timer, going to take a nap. And wow, that was a germs everywhere. Taking a nap, getting up, pulling the foam, hoping it came out okay.
Right.
And if it didn't, you rerunning it and putting it back in, taking another short nap, and getting up and doing it all over again.
Okay. Right. I think that's when we should come out.
Okay.
That's right.
I think what we can really want to clarify is that when we talk about Face Off, and I don't think anyone here is disrespecting the artist of Face. Anything of that nature? Did we lose? No. Neil, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we lost.
Unfortunately, I'm still here.
And once more, it kind of reminds you had a previous interview where you talked about that people might have been sort of more or less disrespecting or saying something negative about Face Off.
I am.
And I think what I really want to kind of clarify, at least from my own point of view, is we talked about that when the artists that were on the show would leave at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you would know better than this, Anthony, that there'd be a second crew that would come in and run all the pieces for them. So you didn't see, and Vinny, you were talking about the people at SNL, that would actually be in it from A to Z. Right. And I think that's where I think a lot of negativity might come from a lot of the people who are professionals that would do that would do the A to Z sort of work, is that they knew that the people on the show would do A to M, we'll say, and then N to whatever S to Z, well, S, that they had other people coming in and running pieces for them overnight. So the people weren't sort of doing it all the time. And I think that's where, if there's any negativity, and they talk about that it doesn't realistically show it, is that those people on the show would go home, they go to the hotel and they would sleep. And then another crew would come in and run other pieces. So in the morning,
the pieces will be running them. And if you kind of watch the show, you kind of see that. You see that, well, why would I didn't see them running the pieces for them? I didn't see them running their own pieces. So I think if there's any negativity or any people not feeling the show, I think it really comes from that more than anything. Because everyone knows that there were people that came out of the show that were phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, not Anthony, whatever.
No.
But there were people that came out that were amazing and they deserved everything they got, the accolades that they deserved. But if there's any negativity, it's that little gap where it's not just saying, oh, you go run a 10-piece prosthetic without the idea of the makeup artist who's doing the prosthetic now has to stay up, run all, and then run all the pieces. And then come in the morning to put them on with no sleep, as opposed to giving them off to somebody else.
Once again, what we do is not glamorous, and those shows glamorize what we do. They're editing out the suffering that we actually deal with.
But yeah. Okay. But, go ahead.
No, we're still on. Can people call in and ask questions?
If I could say anything positive about the face-off experience, is that inspired the younger generation to see what it actually means to be a makeup artist.
And also built egos.
It's not, well, it's the idea of giving an example of what it really takes to be a makeup artist. And anybody who's willing to go to the next level, they're going to research to actually make the prosthetics, do the molds, make the people, and be an actual participant in the industry. Is that the show is entertaining
And be able to take criticism.
also it's also informative to anybody coming up that at this table didn't grow up with any of that knowledge. Is that it gave a glimpse of what it really took to be an effects artist in this industry, but it didn't explain everything.
It was a teaser.
Yes, exactly. It was a teaser of what it meant to be a working professional in this industry, but at least it inspired younger generations to really look and research into what it took to be somebody in this industry. And then, yes, okay, there's people that grew up in it, and yet there's people that cut their teeth on it, and I can respect that. But it as a professional industry member, they say, yeah, it lacked some of the main components of what it really took to go from beginning to end, but at least it inspired a next generation of individuals that I know that, I'm working with Anthony all the time. I know there's other industry professionals that are now working full time that have come from the show, but it's not really something that is a professional industry that we all look into and go, wow, that's really lacking.
Listen to this man, so next you.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
There's anything that I.
Yeah. Go on. We're gonna say.
And then if they're willing to look into it, they're going to research what it really takes to be an effects artist.
Hope so.
You would hope so.
So I think what you're saying, Mike, is you said something about being somebody. Was it more important for them as an artist, or
celebrity,
or is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's all about them being.
If you want your 15 minutes of fame, go right ahead.
No,
I
don't think you can seek out 15 minutes.
No,
of fame.
not at all.
I think if you get 15 minutes, it just happens.
Well, that's the thing. But if you're going to go on that show, you have to realize that it's more of a dramatic, dramatization of what it really means versus being a working professional.
How many people in the 8 or 9 seasons they did went on with a professional career as opposed to doing appearances and teaching?
And how he said that they deserve present company excluded.
Anthony made his career at it.
No.
Can you count?
I was on that jet.
Anthony, Jason Milani,
Connor.
Connor was the first career.
So what? 5.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people there that are they're convention people.
But there's people that have come from that show that get jobs.
Of course they do.
Because producers see them.
Yeah.
Oh, they were on TV. They have to know what they're doing.
But going back to the Instagram followers.
Yeah, it's the same.
There's more Instagram followers than there's a viable audience because they have a large following. It doesn't mean they have capabilities.
Product placement.
Right.
We don't go, oh, I'm working on this show with this actor, but I have a career. I've been doing this. And they go, well, no, how many followers do you have? In fact, that Tom Ford's main liaison now is an Instagram person.
I want to ask Neil a question.
All right.
Backwards.
Neil, how much do you know about special effects makeup and the industry?
I mean, just from doing the show, I grew up like a fan of Tom Savini and stuff, but I don't know a lot of like inside knowledge.
Okay, but you can, as a host of a podcast and being a fan of this industry, you can pretty much distinguish bullshit from reality.
Right.
Half the answers were given from the real ones.
Yeah.
That was very cryptic.
I also do because I also do a professional wrestling podcast, and it's a similar thing to people who talk about wrestlers who get into pro wrestling to be famous or spin it off to. Well, I mean, they talk openly about it. No one, but or to spin off to become an actor, think they're going to be Rock, whatever. As opposed to people who get it because they love professional wrestling and grew up watching it.
Well, that's a passion to some people,
right?
You know, so it's legitimate to fans, you know, regardless of what you're into. So about professional wrestling, I understand that there's a passion and people love it.
Right.
So, from what you've heard from us tonight, and what you know, and I'm sure you did your research upon before you put any of us on the air, or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you make sure there's legitimacy.
Right. Yeah, I actually just interviewed someone who was on Face Off. Not because he was on Face Off, but I had brought up about if there was any negativity to being on Face Off, and he did say that there's people that do look down on you because you were on Face Off. But he had a little different view. He said it was just a way of getting into the industry that a lot of people might have taken, if it was failed to them when they first broke in.
Well, you know what I got to give? I got to give a little bit of kudos to the person that realized who you were interviewing, the Face-Off, realizing that the people that have animosity in an industry, if they're from Face-Off, but there are those. Jeremy, you want to say something?
No, I love you.
Yeah, well, that's yet to be seen from me to you. Anyway, I got to give Tate kudos for saying that.
Yeah. It was all good. It was Tate Stein.
Tate's a good guy.
Steinsick.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Yeah, he just did. We talked to. I had him on because he was designed the puppets and the new Puppet Master, Littlest Right. But
they say that he the puppet. The thing is, I think we all like and respect people that do it. I think
especially those that
I think it really boils down to people that we kind of dictate who is phony. We know who are phonies. And we don't like
really low
because we bust. We bust our balls doing this. I mean, we really do.
But it really
there's no one here that kind of says that that we are waking up at 3:00 in the morning.
But there is success and respect, and there is fame. There's a Ricky Gervais line I love where he said, someone interviewed him and they said, "How do you become famous?" He goes, "Well, if you really just want to be famous, kill a prostitute." Like, yeah, you can be famous that way, but you're not going to have the respect for what you do. What we do, we don't care about the fame. If there is fame, whatever it is, it's a byproduct of what we do. We care about what we do, and we try to make a good career and have a good reputation.
It's being recognized by this room. It's
right.
a job.
I think the more recent group that's getting into it, they're doing it only for fame. Look at me. And it's not about I'm successful at my job.
Mm-hmm. It might be a fun job, but it's still a job.
Yeah, it is definitely still a job. There is no glamour in what we do. If we really told people in a career night what we really do, 99% of those people would walk out of the frigging room.
I was up at 3 a.m. the other day running a fucking in a 9-month pregnancy that I was crying to myself because my silicone wasn't curing. I had to be on set at 8 a.m.
We're ready for a Hollywood.
Two in the goddamn morning.
So let it be written, so let it be done.
Well,
And l'chaim to all of our Passover friends out there.
well, since that's come up a few times, what is Empire Effects?
That's the
I know, you don't want to do that.
We're Harvey Denier's company, and we're just ragging on them because that's where
We're at that shop
That's
right
who
now.
spoke to us tonight. Last time we were at my place, Monster and my profit effect. So,
It's like
tonight we're at
Ireland before they moved out of Van Nuys.
Well, I have a question for Craig. Was there a significance to setting this show up tonight on 420?
Wait. I didn't quite get say the question again.
Oh, yeah.
Was there a significance to setting this show up on 420?
Oh no, it's because we're all getting together. Well,
All right. Was there significance that you got together on 420?
Okay, I'll be really honest. The reason why Passover, because I'll be honest with you. These are my friends. These are my colleagues. I cannot always offer them work because I'm not at a department head. I'm not into this. But what I do is I want to give something to my friends. I consider you, Neil, a friend of mine.
We like you, Neil.
And it's about me saying to my friends that look, I can't get you the house in Bel Air, but who the fuck wants to live in there? Well, I guess the point is, in my sphere of influence, there's certain things that I can do for my friends, and whether it's having people come and help me out at the International Makeup Artist Trade Show, bringing stuff in so they can see something. But I did it. We did it. But it's me saying to my friends, including you and the people around this table, that I can have them talk and to inspire maybe the next generation. That's exactly what it is. Inspire is about
half, 3/4. By the way, Neil. Neil, as one former fatty to another, congratulations on your significant weight loss. I'm right there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're getting very close to 100. Getting very close to 100-pound weight loss, which I'm very proud of.
Just like 100 pounds on Sunday. Congrats to you as well. I've been watching yours.
And about half of us are celebrating 420 on 420. But I don't think it happened to be a dad.
Well, you know, like I said, we were getting together. It's when we talk about, Dick Smith before about being open and telling people what's going on and the new things like this. I consider that it's our responsibility to honor the next generation. But it's all about openness and telling people, and if they get some sort of inspiration about what we're talking about, that's what it's to help my friends out. It's to help my buddies out. It's to help
I got you.
by saying, hey, this has been our experiences. This is what we have. This is what we've done. And if someone finds some form of something out of it, whether it helps you, if it helps anyone around this table to get their voice, I mean, if you want to go with the idea, well, that's what it is. It's about helping people.
But I think, like what we were saying earlier, half of the people who listen to this will go, this is finished. I never want to do this for a living. But the ones who actually have a passion for it may go, this is still worth pursuing. So, despite what those crocodiles say, we're a good barometer for weeding out the ones who want it for fame. The ones who want it for fame should not be here. No. The ones who want it because they go, this is a worthwhile lifetime endeavor. I love it. I want to do it. They're the ones who are going to appreciate it. And you know what? Look, I'm 51. We have guys close to 60 here. We have a 20-year gap. To answer my ass is what we do. Because we work at it. It has nothing to do with fame. It has to do with we respect what we do, and we do it because we wouldn't do anything else. Even if it wouldn't pay much, we do it not because we know. We love. It's what makes us happy.
I did this for a decade without it.
I do. I was a waiter and a makeup artist 25 years ago. But I love it. I wouldn't throw it at anyone else. People would feel the same way. If we were looking for Instagram fame, none of us would be here right now. I'm not even on Instagram. But any of that, you know what I'm saying?
In vino veritas.
Okay. Anthony's up.
So, Mr. Face Off himself.
I want to talk about this thing. So, I want to preface by saying I didn't go on Face Off looking for fame because I wasn't really interested in looking for fame. I had been working for 13 years doing indies before I even got on Face Off. Like every independent artist in this room, we did everything we could to promote ourselves. We were independent contractors. We're always looking for the next job. So the best way to do it is by getting your name out there and by, letting everybody know we're on Facebook strictly. So, hey, you know what? I do this. I'm out here. And being on Face Off didn't win, but it wasn't about that. It was more about being great connections on email. And through email, I met Vinny. Email's the best. And with Vinny, I met, it all goes down. I met a lot of union artists in New York.
The domino.
For all of them. I went on Face Off just for the experience and care about winning, because when I met Connor, the first day I told him, like, you won this. But you were also doing this already. Here's the thing, the whole thing about, like, having a whole other team come in and do our molds and shit, like do our run our molds and whatnot. It's TV. That's totally TV. It was bullshit. It's a game show. That's all it was.
How do we get back to Face Off?
Because we're basically the same thing. All right. Okay. Speaking of Glenn Beck, you can get self-promotional. I'm getting introduced to Spike Lee, and Spike Lee got me onto this, and it all goes down the line. So I think anybody given the opportunity to promote themselves in any capacity, not thinking about any sort of fame after, because fame was not even an issue. It was not even a part of it. I'm not famous because, I was on fucking, season. People didn't know there was a season. You know what I mean? So, I just to kind of, I don't know, maybe it has something to do with, it's obviously more, it may be something of a generational kind of thing, because a lot of us came from the point when there wasn't an opportunity beyond the internet or like that in order to create a following. We had to create a following by our own capability. And if there's any sort of animosity to those people that just seek it out because they put a can near their eye, and they say, look what I can do, and they have no experience, no history, no nothing, and if they were put to task, they would probably more likely fail miserably. But it's for those people who do it that way, but show chops, I think none of us would push them away, or say, you guys know. It's those we obviously know, and to be very, very clear on this, it's the people that are phony are the ones that we don't respect. It's those that are real. Okay, all right, go ahead. I think we also.
We haven't gotten to Jeremy for a while. Since a lot of stuff Jeremy's done is prosthetic work. I don't think we talked about that last time. For people who aren't people probably know that term, but can you explain what prosthetic work is?
Jeremy makes dildo.
I can try. I'm a few in there, Neil.
I got a prosthetic doctor. I'll be in and out next week.
Prosthetic is when you add a rubber or foam latex or silicone or any material to the face to change the features. Right, Tom's right with the number. So you sculpt it, you mold it, you glue it on, you put it in front of the camera. That's just prosthetic. A prosthetic is
it involves an actor.
Yeah, that guy.
I always use American Word Up in London. When Jack had his throat ripped out, he was talking to David, it was a prosthetic.
There you go.
At the end of the movie theater, it was an animatronic puppet. So when it had an actor involved, that's usually a prosthetic, something glued onto a real person as opposed to a fully functional animatronic head. It's an prosthetic.
Actor-driven is prosthetic. Yeah.
It's a human being. What was that thing called? The
Wiggler.
Hello, friends. This is Spilty speaking on behalf of my partner, Don Goldblatt, touchy-feely, dildo and marmalade emporium from Passaic, New Jersey. Jeremy Selenfriend can tell you about our new love missile endorsement. I couldn't tell it from Miami Vice. Hit him up, Jeremy.
What is going on? I don't know.
Neil, I think you have a good 6 minutes of stuff here to deal with. An hour and a half. 2 hours. Holy God.
All right. Well, I think
we would all classify ourselves as prosthetic artists.
Yeah. Well, I think a good way to wrap this up then, since we're going 2 hours, is find out what everyone's working on, what's coming out next. So, Eli, what are you working on? What can people look forward to?
Well, I'm glad to tell you that I'm working on a few personal kits that I will be releasing in due time. It'll be on my Instagram account. Still working on. Right now, I'm currently working with Diamond as a sculptor and assisting Empire Effects with whatever help I can offer them.
This is Keith now.
Keith, okay. I guess the heart's been passed to me. Right now, I'm just doing some day playing, bouncing around from here to there, hoping for season 3 on the tick. Other than that, that's about what I got going on.
Mike?
Oh, shit.
19th season of Law.
You know what? You can get blood from a stone, apparently, on season 21 of Law and Order. I have been there. This will be 9 years on Law and Order.
Wow.
Yes. The Golden Handcuffs and Indy career. Thank you very much.
I was not here when the question was asked.
Well, promote your shit.
Tom and I are still doing SNL. Saturday. I work on a show called The Deuce, and I work on the show Power from time to time. Okay.
Jeremy? As Jeremy, I just finished up the final season 7 of Elementary. A couple pilots in the works, one called Evil, which will be fucking great if it gets picked up. Lots of monsters, and a movie called False Positive.
This is Vinny. I got a movie coming out next year called The Woman in the Window by the director from Darkest Hour, and I also have a film, the Ed Norton film, Motherless Brooklyn, which I did the effects for with him. And now it's to Tom.
Hey, what's up? Okay, so I'm going to be starting my 2nd season on Ray Donovan. I did the effects last season. Good groovy stuff.
That was good stuff.
Unfortunately, I can't do the effects this season because Liam asked me to be his personal. Hey, man. Yeah, and I just got done working with Adrian. Barry Gower pieces to an actor, Simon. Oh my God, I forgot his last name.
No. Rupert Murdoch.
Well, he plays Rupert Murdoch. And it's the loudest voice, the Russell Crowe Fox News thing.
Roger Ailes.
Well, he plays Roger.
Yeah, the Roger Ailes show on
that basically is a really cool game.
Yeah.
So, and then I just finished up a feature. Grandma and Julia Stiles. 3 weeks building a pig, a baboon, and torso, animatronic hearts and kidneys to be removed. So business is good.
And Anthony.
Very good.
And Anthony.
With Anthony, I am currently about to my 6th season on the Blacklist as department head, and this is my life now.
That's it. We got it.
Very good. Well, thanks everyone. I appreciate it, and we'll do it again next year. It'll be our annual.
It's always a fucking great time, man.
All right. Very good.
Thank you, Neil, again. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, good night.
Neil, have a good night.
Good night. You as well.
Good night, Neil. Happy Bunny Day.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good evening, everyone. This is Keith David, and you're listening to Without Your Head.